Art and science. Art means something intuitive, imprecise, and subjective, a skill cultivated through practice and imagination. Science means something researched, measured, and objective, a hard statistic backed by federal funding in white coats. The art of science explores the work of 40 scientists from different cultures and eras, uncovering how these innovators have designed futuristic technology centuries ahead of its time, investigated time and space through abstract art, and create sculpture informed by NASA technology. Why art in science important? In fact, introducing art as a way to study science would not only allow students to understand the core of science creativity, but it will also allow them to better learn scientific concepts and rules. Oftentimes, the ability to visualize and imagine certain processes is important to solving scientific problems.
What is art and science? Art and science are their cure. Art and science are both about observation and interaction, whether it is by using scientific data or technologies such as AI and VR to create art, or by using art to understand and communicate science. Both work hand in hand. What are the differences between art and science? Science is based upon theories and hypotheses, and every phenomenon or device can be explained through science. Art needs to prove, it cannot be proved. Example of art and science. Visual art. The visual art are the art forms that create work that are primarily visual in nature, such as ceramatic drawing, painting, sculpture, printmaking, design, craft, photography, video, film making, and architecture. Digital art. Digital art is the digital art is an artistic work and practice that using digital technologies as part of the creative or presentation process. Since the 1960s, various names have been used to describe the process, including computer art and multimedia art. Drawing. Drawing is a form of visual art in which an artist uses instruments to mark paper or to other dimension surface. Drawing instruments include graphite, pencil, pen, and ink, various kind of paint, ink brushes, colored pencil, crayon, charcoal, chalk, pastel, eraser, marker, styluses, and materials. Sculpture. Sculpture is the branch of the visual arts that operates in three their, their dimension. It is one of the plastic art, durable sculpture process originally used carving and molding in stone, metals, ceramic, wood, and other materials, but since modernism, there has been an almost complete freedom of materials and process. Painting. Painting is the practice of applying paint pigment, color, or other medium to a solid surface. The medium is the commonly applied to the base with a brush, but other implements such as knives, sponge, and airbrushes can be used in art. The term painting describing both the act and the result of action.
So let's talk about art mathematics. To conclude, mathematics isn't always evident in art unless you discover it. But there's plenty of symmetry, geometry, and calculation involved in creating beautiful art. Often, many artists benefit from mathematical observation, such as the golden ratio, to make their artwork realistic, breathtaking. Mathematics can also explain angles and perspective. Thus, there is a large amount of math involved in art. Golden ratio, often known as the divine proportion, this is a real irrational constant in algebra with an approximate value of 1618. This constant as the name implies, something set in opposition to the idea of variable is represented by the Greek. One of the top most famous pieces of art, known as the Mona Lisa, painted by Leonardo da Vinci. This is cultural history of mathematics and art. From antiquity to the present, mathematicians and artists have long been on quest to understand the physical world they see before them and the abstract object they know by thought alone, taking readers on a tour of the practice of mathematics and the philosophical ideas that drive the discipline. Lynn Gamwell points out. So, what is the difference between math and art? Math is an abstract, artistic language that the universe was written in. Art is the expression of math. Math is art. Art is math. They both abstract, and they are both seen differently by the person with his or her perspective. Every mathematician looks at equation in a different way. Every time artist looks at pieces of art a different way. Some people such as call beautiful equation masterpieces.
Art of anthropology. Like art history, aesthetic, material, culture studies, and visual anthropology has a lot of overlap. The anthropological approach to art, on the other hand, is characterized by its emphasis on the social processes involved in the creation of artifacts. Rely on beautiful things but are recognized to play a larger part in people's life, such as in their religious belief and rituals. Example: sculpture, masks, paintings, fabrics, baskets, pots, weapons, and the human body itself are among the items investigated. Anthropologists are fascinated by both the symbolic meanings embedded in such artifacts and the material and techniques utilized to create them.